So, hi everyone. Thank you very much for attending this first webinar, I would say, which is intended to present you the European research infrastructures and the way you can use it for the new calls which have been launched in the framework of the European Partnership BrainHealth. I would like to thank also all the European RIs for being here, or my colleagues who will present you what they can do for these joint transnational calls and what they can do for brain research in general. I also thank the Secretariat of ANR to be Dominique. I thank you very much for your help in preparing the meeting and for your presence here today. So what I would like also to tell you that the meeting is recorded and will be available then on either the EP European Partnership website, also on probably on the eBrain website, and also on the YouTube chain of eBrain. So if people cannot attend, they will be able to replay the presentation. So the agenda of this presentation is as follows. So each of the RIs will present in 7 to 10 minutes each their contributions to this call. So they are, as you see, in alphabetical order. I will maybe remind my colleagues to try to stick to the time because the schedule is very tight. So maybe I will raise my hands at 7 to 8 minutes to just warn you that we are close to the end. The first set of 4 presentations will be followed by a Q&A for 10 minutes, and then the 3 other infrastructures will be able to present, and then we will have a longer sessions to answer your questions. Then the goal of today, of this webinar, as I said already, is really to introduce the skills, the tools, the services that research infrastructures can do for you in the framework of this joint call. In fact, it has been emphasized by the European Commission that research infrastructures could do a bit better than they do to help, the PIs of the project to use the resources which are provided by these infrastructures. So this is the goal of this presentation. So each infrastructures will try to focus on what they can bring for these calls. And also one of the goals is to, of course, facilitate a direct contact between you applicants and my colleagues in the infrastructures. And one of the goals is to put you in direct contact with them, So as you know, the webinar is organized very close to the first deadline. This was for practical reason. It was very difficult to do it a bit before. But since it's a 2-step process, it should not prevent you to add already some hint about how you can use infrastructures in your current, first attempt of this application. And then, since it's a 2-step process, we'll organize another webinar later in May, which will focus more on the different needs you may express during this time, because the full proposal deadline will be only on the 13th of June. So we hope that this 2-step process will also help you to better understand what RIs can bring to you. Then, this being said, I think I will stop sharing my screen and introduce unless you have already burning questions, but I would like to try to stick to the time. And the first infrastructures to present is BBMRI Eric, and it's Manuela Pausan that I thank again, who is here, and we have the task and the privilege to start the presentation. So Manuela, the floor is yours. Please do it.
Thank you. You can see already the slides, right? Perfect. Then first of all, thank you very much for inviting us, the Research Infrastructure BBMRI ERIC, to be part of today's webinar. So my name is Manuela Pausan. I work as Scientific Stakeholder Manager at BBMRI ERIC, and I will just walk you through shortly who we are and what we can offer to those interested to partner up with BBMRI ERIC for the different calls that are opened under the BrainHealth partnership. So BBMRI is a distributed ERIC, which stands for European Research Infrastructure Consortia, as you will hear also from the other different research infrastructures that are present today. We are operating in the health and life sciences, and we're also serving society, academia, and industry besides offering access to samples, data, and biomolecular resources, also as data and technology infrastructure. We really bring together a strong community that offer access to different, as I mentioned, samples, data, and biomolecular resources across 25 different countries, which are depicted in blue in the map. So we have 25 national nodes plus IAC. And besides these 25 national nodes in our discovery tools, we have other biobanks as well that make their collections available for researchers to discover them and partner up with them. Besides that, we bring together different experts in different domains, such as the ethical, legal, societal issues, where we have 32 experts currently connected through the headquarters as well. Then we have more than 300 quality management experts that can support in building up new biobanks or even new collections of samples and data, as well as IT experts, and we are located in Graz, Austria. And here you have on the right side, you can find our member states. So now coming to what is our mission and vision. So BBMRI ERIC enables the development of innovative technology and processes as a cross-domain network that facilitates responsible access to high-quality samples, data, including sensitive data and health-related data, and biomolecular resources. We achieved this through, of course, multidisciplinary expertise, service provision, scientific excellence, knowledge exchange, and partnership in the health and life sciences. And our vision is simplified as biobanking for a healthier world. Within the BBMRI ERIC headquarters, we have core operations and services. We have those that are related to the scientific affairs, and we have some supporting departments, which are the central services and functions. Within the scientific affairs, we offer services through the biobanking development, which is not only for biobanks, but also for potential new biobanks or new collections that would be started. IT services, which I will come back a bit later, because we have different discovery tools that can help you identify the potential collections or even experts within our network that you would be interested to include in your joint transnational calls, quality management, ethical, legal, societal implications, and these scientific affairs are then supported by the central service functions such as public affairs, outreach, education, communication, finance, and project management, and central office. Now, when we are thinking about BBMRI ERIC and really what BBMRI ERIC offers, we are offering a federated access pipeline, as I mentioned, to biomolecular samples, data, sensitive data, health data, and of course, biomolecular resources as well. So you as a researcher, if you look into our nice figure here, you would be interested to identify, okay, who could be my partners in the calls that I'm applying for, who could provide me with access to samples, potentially even large collections of data. You can use our discovery tools, the directory or the federated platform to find those collections that already exist in Europe. And once you identify them, you can then send a message to all of them using our tool called BBMRI Negotiator, that it's a GDPR compliant tool that allows you to contact several different biobanks through one click. So it's not that you have to send 10 different emails, you just use one platform to contact them. Then once the biobanks assess your request, they will inform you if they would have the samples or data or the biomolecular resources that you need, and you can then enter into an agreement with the biobanks. Usually the agreements are between the biobanks and the respective researcher. In your case would be, you would of course be interested to have them as partners in the call that you are submitting your proposal for. And one thing that is often being requested back from researchers, and this you will also experience if you are using our discovery tools, is that we ask, and usually biobanks are asking, that some of the research results are going back into the biobank. And this helps in a way to enrich the collections that already exist there. And thus the data is also being reused for future research. Now coming a bit back to the information that it's also on the slide. So we are using on the discovery tools, we also are using OMOP variables of clinical and phenotypic data to build. Some of the tools are being built with really a lot of information that you can use to screen the different collections that exist in the BBMRI entire community. We also give access, or you can help you facilitate access to omics data within our biobanks, but also in some cases, access to national registries really connected to survival data, surveys, patient-provided data, and so on. So besides the access to samples, data, and biomolecular resources, we also offer additional trainings in ELSI, so ethical, legal, societal issues, IT, quality management, biobank development, other health, life science research and development, but also outreach and engagement. And we also here are well connected with patient organizations. So in case, and I think the BrainHealth partnership is also clearly stating in the description of the course that those that are submitting proposals should potentially consider to invite patient organizations as well. So this is something that we could facilitate, also support, as we have quite a large stakeholder group of patient organizations in Europe. Now coming to our discovery tools. So if you go to BBMRI ERIC webpage, and you will see at the top this blue button called Find Samples and Data. This will take you to the page where you can read more about the different discovery tools. So our directory, it's the largest catalog actually in the world, so not only in Europe, that offers information in an aggregated form. So you can find the different biobanks, the different collections that they have, and you can use different filters to refine the search. And I will show you 2 use cases right after. So you can use country, for example, sample type, quality marks, or ICD-10 to screen really the entire collection or catalog that we have available. Then the federated platforms would allow you more refined search. So this is really real-time search that helps you identify information at donor and sample level. So if you're looking specifically only for female participants, then you can use the federated tools to look for those biobanks that can give you more detailed information. Just a disclaimer, the federated platform does not include all the 500 biobanks, as not all the biobanks are at the high level datified yet to be on federated platform. So you will receive less results when you use the federated platform compared to the directory, which is really more broader. Now, I wanted to show you some examples that will help you a bit into your search. So if you go to the directory, and if you're using the ICD-10 diagnosis available, you can already identify that you can screen for mental and behavioral disorders or diseases of the nervous system. And just by selecting these 2, there are already 72 biobanks with more than 150 collections available that you can reach out to and ask them to potentially be partners. And many of them are in Europe. So potentially they already have the possibility to access their funding to the BrainHealth partnership in their country. And I wanted to take really one use case, and this is my last slide. So I took the use case of Alzheimer collections in Italy. So if you use the diagnosis ICD-10 code for Alzheimer G30, I decided not to look for early onset or late onset, but rather to really use the comprehensive one. And selecting Italy, I could identify that in Italy there are at least 6 biobanks with 6 collections that you could reach out to and establish a connection and potentially invite them to be partner in your proposal. And they can, of course, access their funding through the BrainHealth partnership in their country. And what you can do is, once you decided which, like you can click on a collection, read about the collection, and there you identify more information. And you can also click on the biobank and read more information about the biobank. And if you're decided that you're interested in contacting all of them, you can select all the collections and then click on the request, and this will show you the overview of the biobanks that you want to contact. And if you send to the negotiator, this will take you to the negotiator tool, where you actually do need to log in. So here you have to use the Life Science AI, for example, login. So you can use your institute credentials to log in, and you can submit the request then to the biobanks. And in the request, it's quite simple. You have to provide a bit of information about your proposal, why you're reaching out, what type of samples, data, you're requesting from the biobanks, and then the biobanks can assess if they can contribute to your proposal, yes or no. And once you're done with providing the information, so the ethics vote is not necessarily let's say, mandatory to have it at that moment. You can say you don't have it, or potentially you already have it. Then you submit the request, and this goes automatically to all 6 biobanks. So you do not have to submit for each individual biobank. So this is really a tool supporting the negotiation directly with the biobanks. So that's it. I will stop here. So if you are interested to really reach out to the BBMRI ERIC community, so specifically to the biobanks in our network and the experts within our network, you can use either our discovery tools, or if you need more information, then you can please reach out directly to us or even me. Here's my contact detail information. So happy to support you in your proposals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manuela. You're just on time. That's perfect. Thank you. And it was very clear also and very helpful, I guess. What I wanted to tell also the audience that I forgot to say before, which is very important, is that if you would like to ask questions, since you are muted during the presentation, please put your questions into the chat. So we can sort the questions and then answer them at the Q&A session. So I forgot to tell you that before, but so thank you very much, Manuela, again. And now the floor will be given to Jan Bialy, my colleague from eBrains. So Jan, please.
Thank you very much, Philip. So I will represent eBrains today, Europe's digital infrastructure for brain research. And the infrastructure goal of eBrains is to accelerate collaborative brain research by providing computing facilities to make it possible to interoperate data, models, and tools. The scientific goals of eBrains is related to understanding brain structure and function, and to facilitate the translation from that understanding to medical, clinical applications, and also to technology applications. So we are an ASBL, being formed with a number of national nodes. We have more than 40 partnering institutions as associate members or full members of the organization. The logical architecture is that we have a user-facing set of data, tools, and services. They are being provided through various base infrastructures or sensitive data infrastructures, of course, with an operations layer in between that connects these services to the infrastructure. So here are the different categories of services that we provide. Brain atlases, of course, unique for neuroscience, FAIR data or data knowledge, as we say, medical analytics, modeling and simulation tools and services, a collaborative platform, and computing infrastructure. I'll walk you a little bit through and give some hints on how to find your way when you consider including eBrains in your proposal. So I recommend going to the eBrains.eu website, going to data, tools, and services. You can click on that, of course, but also hover over. If you hover over, you will get to a mega menu. That's actually my recommendation for today, if you want to go in and look at many different alternatives. So let's take a look at what we have in this mega menu. For the brain atlases, we have a list of atlases with 3D maps of brain regions. These are highly detailed atlases. They're all openly shared, so no copyright that creates a problem for their further use. For human, macaque, marmoset, rat, and mouse. Some are fairly new and being expanded, others are now very well established. And together with these atlases, we have tools and workflows for registration of data, linear and non-linear, to the atlases, facilitating your analysis of the data in terms of spatial location, and also various other type of atlas-based data analysis. And the key viewer is the so-called Zebra Explorer, where all of these atlases are embedded. It's online, and you can go and work directly with the atlases. And also there are programmatic routes for connecting these atlases to other tools. So very briefly, the flagship among these is the Human Brain Atlas, which is very well known in the community, has a lot of features, and is probably the most advanced human brain atlas with multi-level and multi-model data integrated in the same atlas system, fully available through eBrains, and being embedded now in a number of different workflows. If we jump into mouse and rat as an example, if you're collecting data in animal models, you may want to use one of these atlases. And together with these atlases, there is a suite of tools that allows analysis of the data you might be collecting. So exemplified here is the tools for registration of information from section slides, or it could be 3D volumetric information as well to the atlas. Further refining and making that alignment very precise, extracting labeled features using the image processing tools, some of those embedded in the workflows, or others can be added. And then to do a quantifying analysis at the end and visualizing the full distribution of labeling per brain region and also in 3D space. These are being picked up by the community and used in a number of publications where we are not co-authors, it's just tools are available for use as examples. If we go to the data knowledge domain, that's of course the main domain for many of us, and we have services fully compliant with European Commission Open Science Policy, making data, models, and software possible to find, to access, interpret, and use. Where we have a curation workflow for entering metadata and data descriptors, and we have storage for open data, and we refer to sensitive data storages, which I will refer to in a moment, where there are mechanisms to then facilitate requests for access. We provide through this knowledge graph links to compatible software and workflows. We have DOIs for the data, licenses in terms of use, and a strong emphasis on providing credit to data contributors. And we are recommended by Springer Nature. And it's very natural to use this route together with publishing a journal article. Here's the logic. So a request on the left side, easily found on the web page. You will get an answer to whether we can take in the data, and then they will go through some steps with the metadata being then displayed in the knowledge graph and the data either into the open storage or at the lower end, one of the sensitive data infrastructures. If you don't recognize anyone's listed here, you might use your own national sensitive data infrastructure that we then will embed and then set up the mechanism for integrating it. We have standards for the metadata, which are really critical and will also be linked to the European health data space. And we have a unique knowledge graph, which combines all of the features and various types of tools that are connected to whatever you find in this knowledge graph. Here is an example of a data card. So through a search, you find a data card, and this is just to emphasize the value of what's being discovered. So you have abstract information about the data, you have the title, authors, of course, dataset versions, a persistent ID, a DOI, data descriptors can be found, license information, information about the subjects in this case included, information about metadata. In this case, the data are sensitive, so you have to request access, and there is a mechanism set up to optimize the communication with the custodians that have to decide on your request. This brings us to medical analytics, and here we have platforms that have been built in the context of eBrains, and we are adding also more of these now in the future. Some of them are purpose-built for specific data categories. Some are general purpose and primarily related to tools and workflows for whether they are purpose-built or general purpose is, of course, related to what you put in there, what kind of tools and workflows you build into these systems. So what is common here is that we make all these sensitive data discoverable through anonymous metadata in the eBrains knowledge graph. So they are discoverable together with all kinds of data. And through these services, we have privacy-compliant tools to access, analyze, and share the data. The modeling and simulation is a very important field for eBrains. We have, as you can see, again, using the mega menu as an entry point, a suite of interactive tools for modeling, simulation, and visualization at multiple levels, from subcellular level up to whole brain. We also have neuromorphic computing systems associated here, which is a type of simulation or emulation of spiking neural networks. And related to this, there is data analysis opportunities to reveal what's inside these models and tools for analyzing, inferring, and validating the models. This is, as you see, at the lower end of the mega menu. So here's just to visualize these different levels the left, upper left is the virtual brain, which is a very famous simulation environment, and then other different types of simulators available through the system. The computing infrastructure is significant because it provides access to high-performance computing and the neuromorphic systems. We have partnerships with the compute centers you see listed here, HPC centers, CEA, in France, Cineca, Italy, CSCS, Switzerland, and Jülich Supercomputer Center in Germany. And the use of these systems is intended for data analysis, multi-scale modeling, large-scale simulations, training and deploying AI models, and they are available then to Europe-based neuroscientists following application procedures, which are available on eBrains. The collaborative platform is a potential use that anyone can go into and use. It's a cloud workspace for collaborative research, often used for education purposes, often used by software developers, with a secure identity and team management, so you can control who's into different private collabs, or you can publish the collabs, with a Jupyter Lab environment, which is absolutely critical for more advanced use, and integration with HPC, to some extent also without particular quotas. Some use is fully available directly, and of course more deeper comprehensive use requires requests to be confirmed. So there is a lot of information on the web page. You should have an account, not because you need it for everything, but it allows much more. So register for an account at ebrains.eu contact, and you can contact us and ask any question related to this call or anything else on the same web page. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. So just to remind you again that you can ask the question through the chat. I think it has already started. But without further delay, now I would give the floor to Beatrice, so Emanuela Oldoni, to present also what the infrastructures can do for these joint transnational calls and for the neuroscience community at large. Please, Emanuela.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Philip and Alexandros, for the invite and everyone for being here. I'm gonna go through what Beatrice can support you with during the this call for project. So my name is Emanuele Oldoni. I work as scientific lead for personalized medicine at Beatrice, the European infrastructure for translational medicine. And as BBMRI, we are a distributed research infrastructure. So our shareholders are member states, and we now count 15 countries that you see listed in the slide. And our main mission is to accelerate the translation of research discoveries into patient benefits. So basically, we are offering services to tackle the challenges of the valley of death that is hindering the implementation and adoption of solution for patients. We support this using our capacity that comes from more than 175 research institutes located across the different member states that belong to our network, and putting together capacities and creating an ecosystem of key stakeholders from academia, industry, patient, policymakers, regulators. Once an institution joins our network, is classified based on different platforms. That is also platforms that are academic networks of institutions that have specific focus. So we have a network of ATMP, so Advanced Therapy Medicinal Product, institution that focus on biomarkers, imaging and tracing, small molecule vaccine, and inflammation and immunomonitoring. Also in the development of translational ecosystem, we are leveraging European funding, and we are involved in big key action, such as the Remedy for All project focused on drug repurposing, or ERDERA, the European Rare Disease Partnership. Our catalog of services is diverse, and we can offer services that are on the technological side, meaning research services. We have also a large portfolio of innovation services. Through our activity, we develop quite some self-service resources that are publicly available, and you can access them through the website. And we also work on the education and training side with online training, but also schools. But for the purpose of today, I would like to highlight some of the services that might be relevant for you. So first of all, we are really much involved in supporting the community for funding application. One of our main service that actually has been already used for this JTC call is the consortium building. So basically, if you are putting together a consortium and you are lacking of a specific need or capabilities, you can apply for this service. I will show you in a moment how to do this practically. And in few days, we will report a list of, we will send you a report of a list of potential matches so that among the at-risk member can fill your gaps, and you are free then to contact these PIs and to start a potential conversation for collaboration. This is the main, I think, one of the main service of interest for you, but we also provide letter of support, and we are able to joining as partner for flagship projects if relevant. How we identify these partners? We do this through our institution, through our network. As I said before, we have 5 scientific platforms with different focus, and in this slide you can see basically where we are gonna look for answering to your needs. Then I think very important for you might be the innovation services that would like to make sure that your project has a very translational potential. So the outcome of every project should be able to reach the clinical setting at some point and benefit the patient. So the having innovation services goes really in that direction. On top of that, we would like with these services to de-risk the funding decision and increase the likelihood of clinical success. In the slide, you can see different innovation services you can offer. Translational feasibility assessment, where we are gonna basically look at the project and raise any red flags, if any, that are hindering the implementation and the adoption of the outcome of the project. We support with regulatory aspects, intellectual property, health technology assessment, so where we are gonna go through some health economics consideration, and then mentoring and expert advice. And also here we are empowering our community, so these services come also through a at-risk institution that have the specific capability and capacity. In particular, because of the increasing demanding of these services, we appointed 7 institutions that are working as expert center under a at-risk name, basically. How to apply? So for both research and innovation services, there is a unique form that you can access through the link in the slide. The first part is about the project details, so the funding program code, the proposal submission deadline, and a little description of the project that gives us some information about the context. And then we are gonna ask which type of service you want to access. And we kindly also ask the description of the expertise and capability needed. Be very specific in this part, because more specific you are, better it is for us in the sense that we can really look into the right partner and right expertise that fits with your need, basically. And then it's very important also to identify the phase of your project, because we have really we are supporting projects that are really in scope, so for preclinical to early clinical. And any additional information like country you want to exclude or include are also relevant. And now, as my last slide, I would like to show you 2 concrete examples that can be can serve as in fact an example for your call. So for example, if you are applying for the GTC 2026 call 1, you maybe are have a project with a scientific focus on translational on multiomics biomarkers for inflammation in depression. So you identified your objective, and you have already a consortium with specific expertise. Maybe you have proteomics and metabolomics, you have a solid expertise on multiomics, and you have already data, but you are missing a specific capacity that is maybe you want to integrate multiomics with the imaging data. You need the equipment of 7 Tesla MRI acquisition for imaging biomarkers. And then so you can, through the link, submit your request, and we can look into our network and try to find a partner with these 7 Tesla machine that can become a partner of your consortium. This for what it concerns the scientific technological services, but also we can do something similar for you for innovation service. So the process is exactly the same. You have a project. In this case, you are applying for call 2. You would like to tackle the issue of early detection or stratification in Alzheimer's disease using multimodal biomarker signature. Then you created a proposal around this objective. So you would like to translate multimodal biomarkers of neuroinflammation, neurodegeneration into clinical adoption. And then you basically have already an expertise, a consortium with some other expertise, and you're missing a regulatory point of view. Regulatory point of view that can maybe where we can help for, and so you can apply and for the service of regulatory support, and we can then connect you with the right partner. So this is what I wanted to tell you, and stay in contact. You can access a lot of information through the website, but also you can contact directly myself if you need something very urgent. I'm gonna also put in the chat the link to the form for applying for these services. And with this, I would like to thank you very much. I hope I'm on time.
No, thank you very much, Emanuela. You are perfectly on time. That's very good. And also, thank you for providing us with a very clear example of how the attendants here can build their project by taking into account what infrastructures have to offer. And we have already seen they have a lot, but more is to come. And without further delay, I would like to give the floor to Jacques Demotte for the ECRIN proposal. So please, Jacques.
Thank you very much, Philippe. I guess you can see my slide now.
Yes, very well.
Perfect. So thank you very much for inviting me. I think it's a pleasure for many reasons. We spent a lot of time working together. I think it was 30 or 35 years ago. I don't remember exactly. But it's a pleasure for me to be here and to have an opportunity to present what ECRIN can do in the context of the Brain Partnership. So, So the mission of ECRIN is to support multinational clinical studies in Europe. Clinical studies mean observational study and interventional studies. For the time being, most of our activity is focusing on interventional study, but we are also open to provide support to observational studies. The reason why is expressed in the upper right sector of the slide. You can see two different situations. The industry-sponsored trial on the left side and the non-industry sponsored trial on the right side. And you can see the striking difference. In dark blue, almost all the industry-sponsored trials are multinational. And in light blue, on the right side, in the investigator-initiated trial, most of them are run in just one country. And this is indicative of a double deficit. The first one is a deficit in terms of funding. There is not enough funding available for multinational clinical studies. And the second one is that it's difficult, and the pharma company have the capacity to run this trial because they have subsidiaries in each country, or they use large international subcontractors to do that. But for the academic work, this is a very difficult task, and it is difficult not only for the investigator, but mostly for the sponsors. So ECRIN was designed as an ERIC, and we got the ERIC status in 2013. We have currently 13 member countries, which represent 360 million citizens, meaning 80% of the European population. This federates and coordinates the activity of 130 clinical trial units in each of the countries. And we receive a sustainable co-funding through the membership fees. And ECRIN is a service-oriented organization, meaning that we are not the one who designed the scientific protocol, but we support the investigator and the sponsor in the planning, the design, and the conduct of the trial. ECRIN is certified ISO 9001. And ECRIN is a disease-agnostic organization providing operational trial management services. And as explained earlier, we are mostly providing services to the sponsor, because the sponsor, the academic sponsor, usually don't have the capacity to manage clinical trials across border. And the same is true for the small and medium-sized enterprise. In addition, we develop common tools, methods, and procedures to facilitate the conduct of multinational clinical trials in Europe. And this includes, for instance, the RED, the Regulatory and Ethical Database, template for the contract between the sponsor and the investigation site, some recommendation on guidance on new trial design. This includes the platform trial, but also we had in the past, we coordinated the project on personalized medicine. We have also data tools, including a data center certification policy, a data sharing repository, and a metadata repository for clinical trials. So what is the organization and what are the services provided? So the services provided, as I mentioned, are in two steps. In the first step, when the trial is not yet funded, we provide support to the investigator and the sponsor in the design and the planning of the study. And then when the trial is funded, we provide operational services at non-for-profit cost as a member of the consortium. And the operational services mostly consist of ethical and regulatory approval, monitoring, vigilance, data protection, data management, and data sharing. So, of course, we can provide additional services on demand, but most of the services of the trial we support require this series of services. The access to the services is provided through the scientific board. And the trials are eligible if at least 2 ECRIN member or observer countries are on board. And it doesn't matter whether all the countries are on board, we are able to manage the trial even in countries who are not currently member of ECRIN. We have currently a portfolio of more than 80 clinical trials, and we had recently a new batch of about 10 clinical trials that were funded in the recent calls. These trials are really multinational clinical trials because the mean number of countries per trial is 6. This covers all the different objectives of the trial, meaning that there are innovation trials, developing new product, medical device or medicinal product, repurposing, but also comparative effectiveness or optimization trials. And ECRIN is able to provide services in any medical field, of course, including neuroscience, but not only, for any sponsor, for any investigator, for any intervention, and for any age group. And we have trials on children and trials on adults. So how are we able to do that? Because we have this organization representing on the bottom left part of the slide with the yellow part representing ECRIN. We have the headquarters based in Paris, and we have in each of the connected country, in each of the member country, we have 1, 2, or 3 employees called European correspondents who are ECRIN staff located in each country. and who are fully aware of the ethical, regulatory constraint of the hospital system and so on. And these people act at the interface between ECRIN and the ECRIN national partners. ECRIN national partners in blue represent, in fact, the network of clinical trial units. So the number of clinical trial units vary from country to country, but it is in let's say in some countries it may be 30 or 40. In some countries it's just a handful. But what matters is to have partners in each country able to deliver the local services. So here you have in the middle the European correspondent in the different ECRIN country and the national network of clinical trials unit who are the partners of ECRIN. So the ongoing portfolio is composed of, I would say, 50 clinical trials ongoing. You can see that the population size matter in clinical research because the larger the country, the highest the capacity to recruit patients. So Germany, France, Italy, and Spain are the 4 countries who are the most active. And you can see that even in countries who are not member of ECRIN, like the Netherlands or the UK, we are also active and we have a significant number of trials ongoing. You can see here also that the trial deal with all the different medical specialty, including neuroscience, which is a very high level of activity when compared to some other medical specialties. Regarding the population, you can see that two-thirds or three-quarters of the trial are conducted in adult population, but 20% are pediatric trials. As I mentioned at the beginning, we also develop tools, methodology, partnerships, and training, but I will not insist because this is not the objective of this this presentation for the BrainHealth partnership. Yeah. We have an important policy in data, and in particular, we have put in place the data center certification program to ensure the quality of the data management in clinical trials and to ensure the compliance with the GCP and with local and international regulation. This program also is an opportunity for us to harmonize data management at global level because we have certified centers, for instance, in Japan, in Korea, recently in New Zealand. And to finish with that, we have developed a data sharing repository, which is a secure processing environment. So it's possible for the data holder to store the data in this environment and for the data requester for secondary use or for clinical trial data sharing to send requests for accessing the data. Of course, this will change with the new EHDS regulation because in the EHDS regulation, the data holder will no longer have the control over the data sharing and the access will be provided by health data access bodies. So, and there will be in addition some additional specification for the data processing environment. So we will have to adapt, and this is planned. We recently got the funding to adapt this data sharing environment to the EHDS regulation. And with that, I'm done. Thank you very much for your attention, and please feel free to contact me or to go to the website to understand if your project is eligible. I understand that the clinical trials are maybe not eligible in the BrainHealth, or at least today. I hope that in the future it will become. But depending on the nature of your project, especially for observational studies, we are open to discuss with you, and I would recommend you also to enter into contact with the secretariat of the call to understand if your project is eligible and if ECRIN is eligible for funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jacques. It was extremely interesting, helpful, and I know that of course the funding opportunities for clinical trials is an issue in general in Europe. This was discussed a lot in the framework of the European partnership, but probably will not address this directly today. Just to remind you that, yes, this is just the first of a series of 2 webinars, and some of the questions we may not be able to answer to you today can be then, addressed in the following webinar we will organize. Thank you very much, Jacques. So we have a little bit of time for answering maybe burning questions. I don't know if the audience, because yes, we ask you to yes, I see that Auguste Oscan would like to ask. Please do it.
Yeah, many thanks for giving this opportunity. Our preparation is not for eBrain's collaborative call, but currently there are also some other relevant calls in the neurology domain. And I'm assisting one consortium in their leveraging and integration with the European research infrastructures. We are at the second stage, though. I mean, our first stage was successful. And I was thinking of maybe engaging in some collaborative talks with some of these infrastructures here. But I'm curious about the response time, because we have about 6 weeks left. And on the other hand, if I'm reading this correctly, Eatris, ECRIN, and BBMRI are mostly offering their active services through project collaborations. So they would like to be onboarded as a project partner. Would the presenters confirm this question? And finally, maybe one very minor point. If it's a project partnership, would that be a partnership based on man-months, or could that be also some kind of subcontracted work? Thank you so much.
So yeah, thank you very much, Auguste, for this question. It gives me the opportunity to say that, of course, here we have targeted this joint transnational call of the EP BrainHealth. But of course, that if these webinars can be useful for other kind of projects, it's more than welcome. It's one of the goals of these meetings. So maybe, but I will give the floor to Manuela and Emanuela to answer your suggestions. So please, Manuela first.
Yes, I will be quite brief. Generally, we can participate in all EU calls or any other calls that exist out there. Ideally would be you contact us and we explore if we can be direct partners as the headquarters, or if we have to invite somebody from our community. When reaching out to the community, if the information is shared as early as possible, then yes, the 6 weeks, it's enough time to find out the experts to involve, but important is not to wait until the last moment. So if somebody comes like a week before the deadline and says, oh, I'm looking for this and that, then in some cases we are trying to go directly as partners and then bring the community with. So the timeline is very important. And regarding the eBrains or the BrainHealth partnership per se, it's uncertain if research infrastructures can really participate directly as partner, or if it's mainly the community participating as partners, because in this case, it's member state funding, and the ERICs usually are not eligible for member state funding, as we are already receiving funds from member states through the different membership fees that we have in place. Just to answer this specifically, just not to confuse anyone, but do reach out to the BBMRI ERIC headquarters, and we can help you, like Emanuela presented on Eatris, to find the right partner within the community. And we can also explore if it can be subcontracting through the headquarters, or if it really needs to be a partner from a different country where there is already funding available, such as BrainHealth, so that the member state funds within the BrainHealth partnership as well. So yes, I hope this answers your question.
And thank you very much for Manuela for saying all this. I think what I would suggest, I'm sure that the funding process for the project are of course a matter of concern for many people here, but they are a bit complicated. It will depend on from one country to other. Here you have to remind that each country will fund its own participants, so meaning that there is a level of complexity. What I would suggest is that if you have specific questions on this funding aspect, maybe you can reach out to us by email, and then we will try to concentrate them and try to answer the next session, because otherwise we will, I think, spend the whole meeting trying to sort this out without all the information we need. So Emanuela, please.
Yeah, no, I would like just to add to what Manuela was saying. For Eatris, it's exactly the same. If you want Eatris ERIC as partner, we can look into that also in terms of capability from our side. But just to answer your question about timeline, the consortium building service since we are not gonna reach out ourselves the PIs, but we just provide you with a list of PIs that might be a good match for you. We use the intelligence we have, so the database we have, so we can do it in few days, 2 to 3 days. So you might have the list, but then it's up to you to get in touch with you are interested in and establish the first contact and collaboration. We can even also facilitate if you like, but in order to be fast, we put in place this workflow where the information first come from the database, so we can answer to you in within few days, and then you can start the conversation, so you don't waste time if you like with us as middlemen. Yeah, that was just a specification.
And Jan, would you like to add something? You are muted, Jan.
Sorry. So very briefly for the eBrain's research infrastructure. So I think it would be quite easy for projects to add us, since there are many open services you can use directly. But I still encourage you to send a message if you're planning, so that we might give you some advice. And of course, longer term, there will always be questions about collaborations, but for short term, not necessary.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we have started answering some of the questions. Maybe we should go to the second part of the presentation to not to be too much delayed. And I have seen that there are other questions in the chat, but maybe we will take them at the end. So I see that Andrew has joined us. So it's Andrew Smith for Elixir. And please, Andrew, the floor is yours for presenting Elixir. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Philippe. So hopefully everyone can see my slides and hear me.
Very well, very well.
Excellent. Okay, so Elixir Europe, we are a life science data infrastructure. So, and let me summarize a little bit about our scope and what services can be used in future brain health projects. So across the network of Elixir, we've got about 240 institutes that are involved. So it's mainly universities and also research institutes, and they're coordinated in each country via one node. So that node acts as the national data infrastructure for bioinformatics in that country. And then collectively, they provide around 700 services. So most of those services are available to everyone, anywhere in the world, for free, and they're accessed directly as well. So you could put data into these databases, you can get data out of them as well. For most of them, you don't need to make a request. You can write a script to get the data from them as well. And that's important when it comes to thinking about potential engagement on projects. Now, Elixir covers all areas of life sciences, so it's not a data infrastructure that's specific to neuroscience, but there's lots of touching points. So we've got databases for genomics data, proteomics, metabolomics, image data. So that's the way to think about Elixir. It's not specific to neuroscience, but there are activities that our partners are doing that could be relevant as well. So some of these services can just be used without working with Elixir on a project. So if you've got a mandate to put data in the public domain and Elixir has a service that allows you to store that type of data, you can do that without working with Elixir as a project partner. But for example, if you need a whole data management work package managed by Elixir, then of course our partners would need to work with you on that. So it really, similar to colleagues earlier, it really depends on what the need is. So just to summarize the types of services that we're talking about here that Elixir partners run. So it's databases. So you can put data into them and you can also get data from them as well. And I'll give you some examples of these. We also make bioinformatics training available as well. So we've got a registry where people can put their own life science data training courses into that, and you can use it. Where we've got a lot of activities around software tools, workflows, and registries to access some of these software and workflows as well. And then we also help to make data fair. So we have standards, ontologies, we have registries to help people find the right find the right standards and ontologies to use. Most of our national partners have supercomputing facilities, and these often do have a charge because they're finite and depletable. And so usually somebody would need to make an application to use them. So we've got lots of computing infrastructure, but that's different to how the software and databases work. And then also across our network, we've got lots of experts on data management as well that can help to work on projects and make data fair as it's being generated from the project. So that's a quick overview. To give you an idea about some of these, we've got about 700 resources, as I've mentioned. So we'll often make recommendations about what a useful set of services could be. So we've got something called core data resources, and these are really critical for the long-term databases that underpin a lot of knowledge in the life sciences. And if you're thinking about working with projects, with life science data resources, then maybe you've got a requirement from a funder to put data in the public domain. And here you could use an Elixir deposition database, and I'll give you some examples of them as well. So there are links to where you can find out what these deposition databases are, and you should get an idea if they're relevant for your project. And similar with our recommended interoperability resources as well. We give some recommendations. If you have to make your data fair, what Elixir services could you use to help you fulfill that obligation? So if we take the deposition of experimental data, for example, so you might need a mature database that's been around for a long, long time, that's going to outlive the duration of your project. And depending on what it is that you're generating, if it's sensitive human data, you might want to put that into the European Genome Phenome Archive. If it's image data, you might want to put that into the Bioimage Archive that's run by Elixir Partners and Eurobioimaging as well. Or if you want a general catch-all database for biological studies that don't fit into one of these other databases, then you can use the resource called BioStudies as well. And by doing so, you're usually fulfilling the requirements that you will have to put your data into the public domain that comes from funders. So that's a good reference for you to take a look at this list of deposition databases for very large archives across genomics, proteomics, metabolomics, and image expression data, for example. And this is just a snapshot of the first list. We also can help with data management. And so sometimes our partners can work on a project to make data fair, or they've got resources that you can use also without including them as a project partner as well. So for example, we have the RDM kit, and that's an overview of good data management practices. And so you can use that when you're thinking of your data management plan, or if you want an instance of the RDM kit built for brain and neuroscience, then you could work with them and they could help to develop a neuroscience specific instance of that data management kit. The Data Stewardship Wizard, for example, that's an online tool that anyone can use. So you can use this as applicants and it will spit out a general data management plan that might be useful for your project as well. So these are things that you can use already and also reference in your proposal. And then when it comes to access to things beyond data, so other digital assets, software, workflows, and so on, we've got a lot of registries that people can use to search for the particular tools that they might want to use. So for example, if you need to use a certain, if you're not sure what software you might need to use, then you can use our registry of thousands of pieces of research software, not just for bioinformatics, but beyond. Or if you need to find some containers that already exist to run your software or run a workflow, you can use these registries to help you find what's available. If you're looking for standards and policies, then you can use fair sharing. And we also have a lot of recommendations that we make about making data fair and other digital assets sustainable, and you can reference them in your proposal as well. That includes things on machine learning if you're going to be doing a machine learning AI focused proposal as well. And then with training, we've got a registry that anyone can upload their online content too as well. So as a result of your project, if you're developing training for other users and you want to make sure that this is discoverable, you could put that into the Elixir TESS registry to help other research communities in future be able to benefit from using that online training materials as well. And that gives you an idea about how many online materials we've got in, and that's free. You can just deposit your materials in there and it's sustained over the long term, and you don't need to include TESS as a partner to be able to do that. So just to start to wrap up, because we've got 700 services, it's quite a lot. So you can also, via this link here, you can search by scientific area and domain, or you can also look at the type of service that you might want as well. So that would be a recommendation for you. And then just to finish, this is what it looks like if you were to click on that link. You can search by scientific domain, you can search by type of service, and you can also add in some keywords as well. And so I've just run an example here where we put in genome, for example, and we've got 77 services. So if you're generating genomics data, you've got an idea about which existing resources might be useful, or which software tools can help with genomic analysis, or which databases exist where you could put that data into them and ensure that you're fulfilling your open science requirements as well. So that's where I'll finish and hand back over to you, Philippe.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It was really extremely clear and perfectly on time. And I think without further delay, to keep some time for the end, I will give the floor to Linda Shaban for Eurobioimaging. Please, Linda.
Thank you, Philippe, and thanks you for giving this opportunity to present Eurobioimaging, which is also a life science research infrastructure dedicated to biological and biomedical imaging. And this is a distributed research infrastructure with nodes also that are distributed across 18 European countries, plus EMBL, which is a part of the network. You can see the black dots here is the different countries where we have imaging facilities that offer access to their facility to use their imaging techniques, also with the support of an expert that guide you and help you in developing your study. So this is the network, and we are supporting any scientists to reach these facilities and to use it properly and in the best way. So we are offering more than 100 imaging technologies that allows you to go through the different scales from the molecules to humans, and with the possibility to perform either in vivo imaging or super resolution microscopy on your samples. And with all that, we have access to also services that support you in developing these imaging studies, including the image data analysis, and with an expert that help you in this direction. Each facility also is offering access to training opportunities, so you can learn to use the imaging techniques or to exploit the imaging data. So across all these scales, you can really discover many things for your research purpose in different areas of research. But in particular, we have a high level of requests in the neuroscientific domain. So we have many examples that I will share with you on how to apply or exploit the techniques offered here. So how to get access is quite easy. You go to our webpage, you can have a look to the different technologies. You can even contact us to have advice if you don't know which technology to use, or you can directly contact even the imaging center where the technologies is available. You can exchange. And then you can apply for access to requests on our web portal where you submit your proposal, and you can have even scientific advice by external experts. And then you have a short technical advice feasibility check with the node that will offer the service, and then you just go and do the service. So it's quite easy. On our web page, you can see here, you go to the services, you have the technologies, you have even the image data services and training offer across the nodes and partners that you can find on our web page. So, as I said, here I want to stress a little bit on the fact that we are offering many imaging technologies. Here an example in the domain of the biomedical imaging technologies. You can find all the normal and classical, let's say, techniques, but also more advanced ones that are quite unique, like the high-field MRI 7 Tesla in humans, which is gathering 5 imaging centers in Europe that offer access to clinical research purpose. You have also phase contrast imaging, which is a unique facility that offers access to a beam line in a synchrotron center where you can perform super high resolution imaging. All together with these different techniques, you have access to the expertise offered by those imaging centers that help you in developing your in vivo imaging imaging studies, either in the human or animal models. So you can access to the different expertise in that area. You can perform longitudinal study or even multimodal imaging studies, combining different techniques together to have a full characterization or overview of the disease. Together with that, you have, of course, the offer of contrast agent imaging development that can be tailored to your need. You can have also of course, the radiotracer and radiochemistry specifically for the PET SPECT imaging techniques. And you have many other capacities that is listed here to exploit your image data and make it the most. I wish to now to give you just an example, few examples about what imaging can do for the neuroscientific field. You're all aware that in the human disease, these MRI, PET, SPECT imaging are the mostly used, but you have also the magnetoencephalography techniques that can be easily used in a patient for neuronal activity mapping. You can have support for different high advanced techniques like 3 Tesla PET and MRI combined for looking at the metabolism of the brain, but this could also be applied on the whole body imaging. Here I focus only on the brain, but of course you can go through all the parts, and in some cases you can have a picture of the whole body, which means that you can connect the brain disease with other organs. Importantly, as I said, we have the high-field 7 Tesla MRI network with that provides high-resolution imaging of the brain, but together with that, they offer also specific methodologies to look at the brain function, brain metabolism, and perform a high resolution for the connectome of the brain of the white matter tract. And they are also offering a special application in looking at the sodium distribution inside the brain, for example, or deuterium imaging, which is the most recent area of development. So you can get this kind of really tailored imaging services. So this is in the human, where we can find the same technologies applied to preclinical animal models, mostly mouse and rats, but in some facilities you can even work on the larger animals with the same technologies. And as you know, here with MRI, you can have a really multiparametric analysis that goes from anatomy, tractography, functional MRI, and can be combined also with more metabolic imaging with PET that offers the use of different radiotracer to specifically target a neurotransmitter or neuroreceptors upon the needs, of course, of the study. So these are the multiple possibilities at in vivo imaging level, and then we can go to the more high resolution imaging through looking at the sample level. So here I want to stress the interesting development at and unique, let's say, application of the imaging through virtual histology with the synchrotron radiation phase contrast microtomography, which allows you to go really to different details of the tissue, but also to have pictures without staining that are similar to histology. So you can really go into the 3D high resolution analysis of your sample without the need of multiple staining or cutting and so on. In one block you can have a look to the whole sample and have a really nice histological view with a high resolution. So this is a unique thanks to the access to the synchrotron facility in Trieste. Then we go for the more resolution, super resolution, by using different microscopy techniques from fluorescence imaging to correlative two-photon and electron microscopy techniques that allows you really to go from live cells imaging to more detailed and super resolution imaging, thanks to the use of targeted staining and techniques to allow you to go through the different cellular level analysis inside your tissues. So all these scales can be combined and can be analyzed in an efficient manner, so you can extract the most of them. So these are all the imaging techniques that you can find that can be really useful for your project across the different scales. It is accessible to anyone, any scientist, either from academia or industry that can apply. Even if you don't know anything about the imaging, we can support you, to advise you, and to help you to develop your study. That's why it's very important to contact us as early as possible when you are developing a project, a proposal like for here in instance, so that we can provide you advice, we can put you in contact with the highly expert person that can help you specifically to tackle your challenge. And importantly, we are offering these image data services that help you also to exploit any image data that you acquired from somewhere else, and you need a specific expert to analyze those data with specific tools to exploit and extract imaging biomarkers, for instance, and so on. So indeed, I wish to highlight the image data services that you can find on our webpage, but it is not only about image data analysis, but also having technical tools to how to manage your data, having advice on how to make your data fair, and how to connect also with the rest of the community to exploit your image data. So these are one of the activities that we are offering. And of course, I would advise you all to contact us directly so you can get advice in how to use those imaging technologies, how to identify the potential partner to help you in your project. We can support in this proposal development by providing also guidance on how to exploit the results of imaging data, how to disseminate, and how to manage those data. So these are all from Eurobioimaging. I hope that I was on time. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much, Linda. Yes, I think I will. You showed that you can use it for many animal models, so I will give the floor now to Sabine Ölterkor. And so, Sabine, please, the floor is yours.
Here we go. So thank you very much for the opportunity to, last but not least, introduce InfraFrontier to you. So InfraFrontier is the European research infrastructure for modeling human diseases, primarily providing rat and mouse animal models to the scientific community, but not only animal models. It is a consortium of 22 partners distributed across 15 countries, all leading European research institutions in their specific expertise. And these are the services that you can use from InfraFrontier. It starts with the generation of rodent models. So should you be desiring to have a specific genetically altered rat or mouse model, you could ask InfraFrontier to produce such a model for you. Or should you already have such a model, especially a mouse model, and would like to share this model with the scientific community, you could ask InfraFrontier to cryopreserve, archive, and distribute this model via the European Mouse Mutant Archive, which is called EMMA. There are also specific biosafety level 3 preclinical services that are being offered by some of the InfraFrontier partners, as well as xenic services. So should you be interested in having your model made germ-free. A large part of the services of InfraFrontier encompass systemic phenotyping, especially of mouse models. And I'll go into this in a minute. And during the last years, InfraFrontier has developed specific disease model resources for the study of rare diseases and for cancer research. And what is new, now there are also in vitro models in development, but these are services that are not yet rolled out to the public, but I'll talk a little bit about this towards the end of my presentation. And for everything, I really refer you to the InfraFrontier webpage. There you will find a lot more detailed information than what I can tell you in 7 minutes. So the European Mouse Mutant Archive, EMMA, is the third largest mouse repository. It offers access to more than 8,900 mouse lines, which are all high-quality, health-controlled mice with defined and verified genotypes. So you will be getting what you're asking for, and these mouse models are being shipped all over the globe. And the specific InfraFrontier resources that have been developed for the study of rare diseases encompass free access to more than 2,200 mouse strains that are related to more than 1,600 different rare diseases, and you can search for them on the InfraFrontier website. And with respect to cancer research, there are mouse strains available for more than 50 different cancer types. And again, in vitro models are currently being developed. With respect to the systemic phenotyping that is being offered by the different mouse clinics that are part of InfraFrontier, this phenotyping encompasses a comprehensive whole system screening that assesses more than 500 parameters per animal, and animals of both sexes are being used, allowing you to unravel sex effects, and at the same time making sure that the maximum information is gleaned from a minimal number of animals that are being used. And this phenotyping encompasses assessment of mortality and aging, of the reproductive system growth, metabolism, the nervous system, cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, and urinary system, as well as the hematopoietic system and immune system. Endocrine function is being assessed, bone and muscle function, and also sensory functions. And you could ask for the whole system screening or also just for specific parts of this, should you be only specifically interested in specific details. And I can tell you this from an example from the German mouse clinic where I'm working and heading the behavioral unit. So we are offering these phenotyping services on a collaborative basis as scientific collaborations. We have all these different screening units under one roof. And here you see a collection of the publications that resulted from scientific collaborations that use these services, either the comprehensive screening or only dedicated ones during the last decade. So we are offering this specific service free of charge on the basis of a scientific collaboration. And all of the primary screen systemic phenotyping services, as well as the mouse production unit services, are certified. We have an ISO 9001 certification for this. So all of this is run by standardized protocols, is quality controlled and very well documented. This is an example from my lab. We've established standardized protocols for brain and behavior analysis that we've used in these collaborations over the last decades that assess specifically motor function, cognitive function, emotionality, and sensory motor function. And we've also established a functional neuroanatomical phenotyping marker panel to assess specific brain cells, neuronal and non-neuronal, and we're experienced with serological approaches in combination with specific cell markers to assess neuroinflammation in the brain. And this is how the InfraFrontier website looks like. You can read up more details about the different services that are offered by the different partners on the services tab on the InfraFrontier site, or you could just go to this page where you can place service requests. So either for Emma, there's a specific service request, and for all the other services that are offered by InfraFrontier, there's a different kind of service request. Or if you would like to know more, have specific questions, you could also just email info@InfraFrontier and get feedback, especially with the question that I saw already on the chat regarding the pre-proposal stage. So some of the services might be freely available. We could obviously also be cooperation partners in proposals. But all of this can be clarified by different or specific conversations. And if you would like to know more about the in vitro models and technologies that are being developed, I invite you to participate in a webinar that InfraFrontier is going to hold on 19th of March. There you can find out more in detail about the future in vitro models and technologies. And if you would like to get in touch with the InfraFrontier Consortium and would like to interact more, you are also welcome to join the InfraFrontier Conference in Rome on 23rd and 24th June. There's no registration fee to participate in this conference. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Sabine. It was also extremely interesting and clear. And so I think I'm a bit afraid that we have not that much time left for questions, unfortunately. I think we have, but at the same time, it was the first time we need to provide the audience with all the informations needed, which was done, I think, in my view, beautifully. So maybe I think one key question that was asked several times in the chat was the fact that the delay between the webinar today and the first deadline is pretty short. We were fully aware of this. But when I can suggest, as it was written in the chat, that in fact, you still have time to include infrastructures for the full proposal. That's not a problem, but you can still mention in your pre-proposal that you will interact with research infrastructures for this or that questions. I think this will not harm. This will be easy to do, and this will give you the time to interact with us, in more detailed way. And I think everybody here has shown that you can contact them directly. So it would be my advice. Also, the webinar will be made available to all of you. So it will be available on the European Partnership Brain site and also on other site. And I think that Dominique, thank you, by the way, for being here, would like to also say a few words about this aspect. So please, Dominique.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to add, as my colleague, Monsieur Vernier, just said or said earlier on, regarding the eligibility of research infrastructures as partners or as subcontractors, it is entirely dependent on the individual countries or the individual funding agencies that you intend to request the funding from. And so we encourage you to go to the BrainHealth website and download all of the documentation that we have available there and see which funding agencies you might be eligible for. And then you can contact them and ask and request specific details regarding whether whichever partners you hope to include are eligible or not for the funding.
Thank you very much, Dominic.
That's the main point.
No, that's true, and thank you very much for being able to put this forward. I think it's important for all of us here. So, as I said, I think we have no more time for questions. I would like that the webinar extend too far. Otherwise, we have already lost some of our attendants. So I will not continue this. So I just would like again to encourage you to reach out to all of us, as it has been said by all the participants, participants from the research infrastructures, of course. So I would like to thank you very much, and I hope this would have been useful. And as I said, we will organize a second webinar, probably more focused, with specific questions in May, to allow you to better suit and fulfill the needs and the needs of your applications, of course. So again, thanks very much to all of you. Wish you a very good week, and looking forward our next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Great. Colleague, see you.
Good to see you, by the way. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.